To begin, find a comfortable position, either lying down or sitting upright with the legs folded. Whatever brings you peace and isolation to commence our journey through the mind together. You may choose to close your eyes, or you may prefer to leave them open and focus your soft gaze on a particular object, or even on the ceiling. The purpose of this guided meditation is to progressively relieve the mind of any anxiety you may be feeling, and softly drift off into a deep and refreshing sleep. If there is anything that is weighing on your mind at this time, any anxieties or racing thoughts you may be feeling, feel free to pause this audio and write them down on a piece of paper, and put the paper away to look at when the new day begins. This is your time to relax and release the mind of any stress. We will begin by focusing the body on our breathing. Slowly start to notice how the chest rises as the belly fills with air and delicately empties on every exhale. You might want to draw attention to the depth of your inhales and begin, ever so slightly, to slow your breathing. Take a deep inhale with me now through the nose to the count of 4, and we will hold that breath at the top of the hill for another 4 seconds, before exhaling through the mouth and holding the breath at the bottom of the valley for an additional 4 seconds. Try it with me now. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. You may wish to repeat this cycle another 3 times before returning to a slower, more mindful breathing pattern. While you focus on your breathing, notice how the physical body is feeling. Are you feeling any tightness in your shoulders? Or are you clenching your fists or even curling your toes? Try to draw attention to any area of the body that is feeling particularly tense. Now imagine that you are sending every inhale to that part of the body. With every intake of air, you are filling up your shoulders or your fists or the tips of your toes, and you are gathering up all that tightness and tension into a little ball of energy. And with every exhale, you are releasing that ball of tension and negative energy and sinking further into your bed or your seated position. Take as much time as you need to release the tension you may be feeling while I tell you a little story. There was a man many years ago who was a tailor. He lived deep in the countryside in a little green cottage off a long, winding road. The man had no children and no wife, but he hoped to one day have a family of his own. He would move out of his little cottage in the country and find a bigger place to live, maybe in the city. The man's cottage was so small that it was difficult for him to complete his work. He barely finished each day's tasks before the next day arrived, and he had to start again. The man never had much money, so he couldn't afford to hire an apprentice. Instead, he would spend all hours of the day and well into the night working on his clothes. On this particular day, the man found himself with more work than ever before. He had to hem 6 women's dresses, all different sizes, some with tulle, some with lace, some blue, some white. The man had to bring in 8 pairs of men's pants, some suede, some linen, and some wool. He had to add sleeves to one shirt and remove them from another. So as soon as the sun began to peek out from its restful sleep, the man began his work. He finished hemming the dresses, barely taking a moment to catch his breath. He finished bringing in the pants, not noticing that the sun had come and gone and was replaced by the bright full moon. The man worked and finally finished his long day of tailoring others' clothes. The man realized he had not had time to put his shoes on that day. He realized that he had not eaten all day and he felt rather hungry now. The man realized that he hadn't brushed his teeth that day and he was missing a sock on his left foot. The man thought to himself how silly he must look, starved and shoeless, stubble on his chin. He thought he may go to the mirror and fix his hair. Maybe if he shaved, he would feel better about himself and the work that he had done that day. The man turned on the lights and looked at his reflection in the mirror. He stared for a moment, not recognizing the man who stared back at him. He splashed some cold water on his face and rubbed his eyes, noticing his hands were wrinkled and frail. He looked at himself in the mirror and realized his hair was now streaked with silver and his eyes had dropped into his creased face. The man realized that he had spent so much time working for others and ignoring his own well-being that years had passed. The man was now well into his 60s. He had no wife and no children and no big house in the city. And he was never satisfied, no matter how hard he worked. The man was shocked to realize how quickly time had flown. He looked at the clock and it was already midnight. And the dresses were done and the pants were pressed, but the man was again sitting alone in his small green cottage. The man thought to himself, if I could do it all over again, I would have found a nice, beautiful bride, and I would have had many, many children, and my children would all wear clothes custom made by me to show them just how much I loved them. But the years were gone, and it was too late for him to start a new life now. So he brushed his teeth and unbuttoned his shirt and went to bed. The man opened his eyes bright and early the following morning and thought about the things he had seen the night before. He walked over to the mirror and looked at his reflection, expecting the gray-haired stranger to be looking back at him. But to his surprise, the old man was gone. Staring back was a young man with thick brown hair and striking green eyes and the strong, calloused hands of a young tailor. The man was confused. He rubbed his eyes to make sure he was awake and splashed his face. And when he realized he was young again, the man let out a gasp and he skipped around with youthful exuberance. The man ran to his desk and looked at his list of yet another busy day's work. But he knew the next time he looked in the mirror and saw that frail, weathered man, he wouldn't disappear by morning. So, the man laced up his shoes and threw on his coat and packed a small bag of clothes and necessities and headed off for the city with no particular destination, but a newfound hope and ambition and a plan to make his dreams a reality. Now take a moment with me to think about something that you admire about yourself. Maybe you are kind, and you show compassion to every stranger that comes across your path. Maybe you are strong, and you can make it through any tough situation. Whatever it may be, take a moment to reflect and admire that quality you possess. Now think about that quality and carry it with you for the rest of the night. And as you drift off to sleep, remember these thoughts and reflect on all that is good about you as a human being. While you do that, I'm going to count backwards from 100. And with every number, you will be falling deeper and deeper into a restful and eternal sleep. 100, 99, 98, 97, 96, 95, 94, 93, 92, 91, 90, 89, 88, 87, 86, 85, 84, 83, 82, 81, 80, 79, 78, 77, 76, 75, 74, 73, 72, 71, 70, 69, 68, 67, 66, 65, 64, 63, 62, 61, 60, 59, 58, 57, 56, 55, 54, 53, 52, 51, 50, 49, 48, 47, 46, 45, 44, 43, 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37, 36, 35, 34, 33, 32, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.